Greetings Guzzlers, we're doing a baking session and for once I'm not following my usual little guru, if you like. I actually found this on Edd Kimber, the boy who bakes sort of posts, and he's using black cocoa powder, which for all intents and purposes looks like activated charcoal. It's so black. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using, and we're going to be making some type of cookies, what he calls some black cocoa peanut melting moments, and we're going to make them as sandwich ones. They're going to have a peanut butter ganache in between. So we're obviously going to make the cookies, if you like, the melting moments first, and then we'll get on to making the ganache that go in it. The ganache will use smooth peanut butter, and the recommendation is to use commercial peanut butter, even though that might not be your preferred choice, but it's less likely to split when you're making up the ganache. So we're going to use some cheap old supermarket smooth peanut butter. You will want some salted peanuts. Okay, I've got there 175 grams salted peanuts, and I've already chopped them up roughly. Okay, so let's get baking. So in here I've got 250 grams of unsalted butter. We're not going to add any salt to them because obviously there's salt on them salted peanuts. And what I'm going to do is I'm now just going to whisk these for a few minutes until they're nice and fluffy and creamy. So that's gone nice and pale now, so that's now whisked enough. What we're going to do is add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And in a minute I'm just going to beat that in, just to make sure that's mixed in. But before I do that, we're just going to get our dry ingredients ready. And what I've got here is some corn flour or cornstarch, 30 grams. In that goes, if it chooses to. A bit like dealing with icing sugar. Talking of which, we've then got some icing sugar, 85 grams of that. That goes in there. And then I've got this black cocoa powder. 60 grams of that. It's a very, very dark brown colour. Okay, literally black. One of my other videos, I talk a little bit about sort of the origin of that, if you like. And the other thing is, it's got plain flour here, 200 grams of plain flour going to go in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a whisk, and I'm just going to mix those together. You notice I put the things like the corn flour and the icing sugar at the bottom so that we don't get them clouds of icing sugar and corn flour everywhere together. So the point of the cocoa powder, this black cocoa powder, isn't so much to get the chocolatey taste, because it's not that chocolatey. It's more to get this deep black colour. So that's gone in there, so that's all mixed together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blend the vanilla extract into that, and then we're going to start blending the two together. I whisked all that flour in. I did it in sort of like 3 or 4 batches, just using a wooden spoon simply because it's a very stiff mixture, and that batter, the spatula just wasn't having it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to measure out about 20 grams, and we're just going to then roll that 20 gram ball into a ball, and then I'm going to dunk it into the peanuts. So that's just a little bit over 25. So just roll that into a ball, okay, and then I'm just going to dunk it, roll it into that peanut mix. Don't worry, you haven't got to force loads in there. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to place them onto a baking sheet. Okay, my oven's at 140, sorry. And we will be flattening these shortly. Okay, once I've got a sort of a tray full, as it were. So I've still obviously got some more to do, but I've got them on the tray, spaced out, because what I need to do is we just want to lightly press them down, Okay, I'm using the bottom of a glass for this. And then we're going to put them into the oven. So there you go. We're going to put them into the oven where we're going to bake them for about 20-25 minutes. We obviously want them cooked. Ideally, sort of the edges are starting to get dry and setting. Okay, and then I'm going to remove them out, and we need to let them thoroughly cool before we fill them. So I'm going to get these in the oven and cooked. I've got some white chocolate, 125 grams, and I've got 100 mils of double cream. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently heat this and melt this together, stirring as I go. Okay, and then in a bowl over here I've got 75 grams of smooth peanut butter. Now when we've made the ganache, you can either spread it or pipe it, but given the sort of texture of these cookies, if you like, I'm gonna pipe it. Now, like I say, we need to warm this up, melt it all through, but before we add it to the peanut butter, we need to let this cool. Okay, if we add it when it's too hot, the peanut butter will split and it won't look very pleasant. So that is now all melted and all nicely mixed together. You need to keep it stirring because you don't want it catching. So I'm now going to take it off the heat. Okay, now you could, if you wanted, transfer this to a bowl to help cool it down. I've put my peanut butter in the bowl ready. I'm just going to put this somewhere to cool down for about 10 minutes, and then, like I say, we'll add it to that. So I'm gradually adding in that melted chocolate and cream mixture and mixing that well into the peanut butter. Now, if you've got a whisk, you can use a whisk, but I'm just going to use this spatula. Decided, so long as I'm careful and add the still warm ganache a little bit at a time, it will stop this splitting. Now, you can either spread this, like I said, or you can pipe it, but at the moment it's far too soft. So what we'll do is, once this is all mixed together, we're then going to refrigerate it about an hour perhaps, but really we want it so it's the consistency where we can pipe it or spread it, but it will obviously not just all ooze out, it will hold its shape. The ganache is chilled sufficiently now that I can put it in the piping bag and pipe it. Now, you need to be a bit careful because these cookies are quite crumbly, right? So I'm just putting a layer of the ganache onto the bottom and then sandwiching it between. I'm just going to complete the rest. And now at the moment I've got one spare, so we'll do a little bit taste. Now I've tasted one because I had one break up, and it is very dry, like I said, without the ganache. So we'll try it with a little bit of ganache on it. 11 successful sandwiches, and then I've got that half there, like I said. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the fridge just to let the ganache set a little bit more. But I said to you we'll have a little taster. I know this is a little bit, you know, it should be 2 biscuits per that amount of ganache, but let's try it. Definitely need that ganache with it. Totally takes away that dryness. The biscuit's obviously very dry, crumbling, but the ganache definitely sorts all that out perfectly. just a little word of warning. This black cocoa powder, it is literally like using activated charcoal. It turns all your cloths black and everything. But, and remember, it's cocoa powder, but you don't use this instead of normal cocoa powder if you want that chocolatey taste. You add this to get the flavour. Now, if you haven't got any, you don't want any, you can do it with normal cocoa powder. You don't have to use the black cocoa. But there you go. Courtesy of Edd Kimber, the boy who makes black cocoa peanut melting moments with a peanut butter ganache.